You've rolled out and chilled your bottom crust and filled it with the perfect filling. Now what? It looks unfinished without some kind of a topping, and it is, but what kind do you choose? Crusts are functional parts of the pie, not just a way to show off your pastry skills. That being said, if you got them, you should flaunt them. Let's take a look at a few different options for a double crust fruit pie. A simple double crust is classic, giving you 2 layers of flaky pastry to balance the juicy fruit within. Now, fruit releases a lot of juice, even with a thickener added, and that juice turns to steam, which needs a way to escape. That's why double crust pies include at least a few vents on top, like we do with our apple slab pie. To build the crust, you'll need a second batch of the slab pie dough, rolled out into 16 by 11-inch rectangles and chilled. Overlap the longer sides of the dough rectangles by 1/2 inch, then brush the overlapping edges with water and press to seal. Loosely roll the dough around the rolling pin, then gently unroll over the top of the filling. Trim the overhang to 1/2 inch beyond the edge of the sheet. Pinch the edges of the top and bottom dough firmly together. Tuck the overhang under itself. The folded edge should rest on the edge of the sheet. Crimp the dough evenly around the edge of the sheet. You can make a fluted edge or keep things simple and use the tines of a fork to crimp the crust. Then cut 2-inch slits in 2-inch intervals across the surface of the crust. At this point, you could apply an egg wash for a shiny top. We bake ours as is and apply an apple sugar glaze once the pie has cooled. Pies of especially juicy fruits like peaches, pears, and berries need more exposure for evaporation, or the pie will have a decidedly soupy texture. That's where a lattice or cutout top comes into play. Of course, they look pleasing, and they might be a little intimidating, but they provide even more space for steam to escape and allow the juices to evaporate. Lattices can get very complicated, but they don't need to be. Let's look at the basic lattice on our peach slab pie. Instead of rolling both dough rectangles into 16 by 11-inch rectangles, roll one into a 15 by 12-inch rectangle and the second into a 20 by 9-inch rectangle. Using a ruler and a pizza wheel, a fluted pastry wheel, or a paring knife, cut the smaller dough rectangle into 7 15-inch long by 1.5-inch wide strips, and the larger dough rectangle into 5 20-inch long by 1.5-inch wide strips. Return the strips to the sheet, still on the parchment. Cover loosely with plastic and refrigerate until firm, about 30 minutes. Remove the strips from the refrigerator and let them sit a few minutes to warm up just enough to be workable. Space the long dough strips evenly across the length of the pie. Fold the first, third, and fifth strips back halfway from right to left. Lay one short dough strip across the pie, perpendicular to the second and fourth strips, keeping it snug to the folded edges of the dough strips. Then unfold the first, third, and fifth strips over top. Fold back the second and fourth strips in the same direction, stopping just before the vertical strip. Lay the second short dough strip, keeping it snug to the folded edges. Unfold the strips. Repeat the process, weaving 2 more short dough strips over half of the pie until you reach the edge of the sheet. Then repeat on the opposite half of the pie. Shift the short dough strips as needed so they're evenly spaced over the top of the pie. Now, if the dough becomes too soft to work with, refrigerate the pie and the dough strips until they're firm. Trim the overhang to 1/2 inch beyond the edge of the sheet. Pinch the edges of the bottom crust and the lattice strips firmly together. Tuck the overhang under itself. The folded edge should rest on the rim of the sheet. Now crimp the dough evenly around the edge of the sheet. Brush the surface with egg wash. For added crunch, you could sprinkle the lattice with sugar. An alternative to a lattice crust is a cutout crust. Now, cutouts are a little simpler, but they perform the same function, ensuring that moisture evaporates during baking. We rolled the dough into 16 by 11-inch rectangles and then used a cookie cutter to cut as many cutouts as we could. To match the autumnal flavors in our pear butterscotch pie, we used a 3-inch leaf cookie cutter, but you could really use any size and shape that you prefer. Just be sure to chill the cutouts until they're firm, about 30 minutes. When you're ready to top the pie, arrange the cutouts evenly over the fruit, being careful not to overlap more than 2 cutouts to leave space for proper evaporation. Brush the cutouts with egg wash for shine before baking. Now you can mix and match any kind of topping to make a great slab pie.
Thanks for watching America's Test Kitchen. What'd you think?
Well, leave a comment and let us know which recipes you're excited to make, or you can just say hello.
You can find links to today's recipes and reviews in the video description.
And don't forget to subscribe to our channel.
See you later.
I'll see you later.